Thank you everyone for joining us here today at Levittown Public Library. It is Monday, January 31st, 2022. This is Agaski with Kim. Go ahead, Kim.
Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. I've been looking through my book. It's fearful. I've got so many old routines and good routines. I think I'm going to give you a good one today. So anybody who's new, what I want you to remember in the back of your mind is that I don't live in your body. So if something doesn't feel right to you, just stop the movement. I'll give as many modifications as I can think of. And if I don't give you one that works for you, just skip it, but stick with it. You may find something towards the end that really works for you. So just stick with me. What we're going to do today, might not use a roll. We're going to use a block. If you don't have a block, this is a pillow right off of your bed. If you do use a pillow on your bed, I want you to fold it in half because there's a lot of resistance on this thing, a lot of resistance. You want a lot of resistance. So we're going to be using that. Other thing we're going to use today is either a chair or an ottoman, something about 26 inches in height. If you don't have that, you could start piling up things like a cooler and then pillows on top of that. This is for our work when we lay down on the floor. I'll give you modifications if you can't do that, but you can also think creatively on your own. If something isn't working out for you and you come up with something new, let me know. I learn a lot from my clients and students. So I thought today we would actually go into a routine from one of my friends in California, Marianne Berry. If you're looking up Egoscue stuff, you're probably going to find her as well. We're going to lay down and do some foot circles, point flexes. You can do these if you're sitting in a chair. If you can't lay down, I mean, like I said, get creative. But we're going to start out with ankle circles, point flexes, or foot circles, point flexes, whatever you call them. So I'm laying down on a flat surface. This is going to stop my body from rotating, really important. I'm going to hug my right knee in towards my chest. So the spacing of my feet is hip distance. I'm not leaving my leg all the way out to the side. I'm keeping it hip distance in the same line as my hip joints, about the width of a dollar bill. So as I hug my right knee in towards my chest, I'm not going to let my heel drop to my butt. Instead, I'm going to take my shin and put it parallel to the floor. Do that the best you can. Only move from the ankle. We're taking 40 circles in an outward rotation. Now, some of you might not be able to pull your knee as deeply into your chest as I can. That's not a big deal. Go as deeply as you can. You might even need a strap to put behind your knee if you can't reach your leg. That happens sometimes. A lot of people go wrong here, and it's not the worst if you screw these up. It's no big deal. It's just movement. But where they go wrong is they start moving from their knee, and they think they're moving from their ankle. Keep your knee still. I put my hands underneath my knee. That way I can hold my shin parallel to the floor. If I put my hands on my knee, it's going to pull my heel towards my butt. But also it's going to leave your knee the ability to move. So you got to pay attention to it and make sure you're not moving from your knee. The leg that's on the floor, I'm not letting it be relaxed either. I'm actually pointing my toes up towards the sky. So if you were to look at it from the direction of my hip, I would take an internal rotation. So my kneecap and my toes point directly towards the ceiling. Thank you. I'm going to take an inward rotation now. I'm changing my direction. So I'm taking my ankle in. If I were looking at my toes, I would be going counterclockwise now. You want your toes to be part of this too. Yes, you can do it with sneakers on, but the best way to do it is with no sneakers on. You want flexion and extension of the toes. You want your toes to be leading you through this. They are the initiator in this specific movement. And if you're doing like I'm doing and you're keeping your heel at the same height as your knee, then you're going to be feeling this work in your hip. Again, this is a routine that Marianne Berry shared with her students and with me. I met her, goodness, almost 6-7 years ago, maybe. You'll find an awful lot of Egoscue stuff on YouTube with her name on it. Point flex now, everybody. You're going to pull your toes back towards your knee and then point them away from you. But this is a movement through the ankle. So we're going from plantar flexion to dorsiflexion, back and forth. This is not easy. It should be easy. This should be totally simple. We're not using weights. But when this feels challenging, you'll hear me and Brian Bradley say things like, welcome to muscles that don't work. So it gets tiring because your muscles and your tissues, the fascia, not used to working this way. They forgot. And that's what we're doing when we do Egoscue. We're stimulating the body in different ways so that it can remember what it's designed to do. If this gets too hard, just take a break. You can certainly get this done sitting in a chair. You can lay on a bed if worse comes to worse. The most beneficial way to do this is to lay flat on the floor to stop your body from compensating and rotating. I'm going to switch my side. Again, I'm paying attention to the alignment of my ankles with my hip. That means my knee has to also be in line with my hip. I'm pulling it straight back, staying in line with my hip. The leg that's on the floor, I'm not going to let it flop out. I'm using my hip muscles to point my toes and my knee to the sky. This routine is going to get challenging. It's going to feel like a workout towards the middle and a little towards the end. If any of you know Marianne Berry, you know she actually tested Egoscue. That was the set of routines that she did in order to win placements in a bodybuilding championship. She used Egoscue to do that. It's pretty cool what she did. Pretty cool. So I remember one of you was asking me last week, a workout routine, the old lady workout routine, right? There's plenty of those on YouTube, plenty. If you just look up Egoscue workout on YouTube, you're going to find some stuff. Go ahead and sift through, find the stuff that works for you, and don't get bogged down and get depressed if you can't do some of the moves. Find something that you can do and work on it. Inward rotation, everybody. There's a lot of moves that even I couldn't do. Egoscue was challenging to me too. What do? If you give up on yourself, you're never going to get better, right? Keep trying, get creative, find another way. Try something else, and then maybe you'll start to build the strength in a new way. Go back to the move that you couldn't do, and you might find, wow, I could do this now. But it's not going to get better if you completely give up. Wow, these ankle circles, point flexes look horrible on my end. Horrible. My left side is a little bit different than my right, much like many of you out there. This side takes a little more focus for me. Ooh-wee. All right, I'm going to move into point flexes now, folks. Point flexes, pull back, point, back and forth. Man, I need to do a little bit more work on my left side. Outside gets tired fast. And it stops doing big circles fairly quickly. That's a little more work on my left hip. I hope everybody else is doing okay. This can be challenging. Just meet yourself where you're at. Do the best you can. All right. Our next move is going to be a hands and knees move. You can do it in a chair. We're going to do cats and dogs. So if you don't feel like doing it on hands and knees because it hurts, or your shoulder bothers you, or your wrist bothers you, you can do pelvic tilts laying on the floor. Some of you know that. Or you can sit in a chair and do the same move. Come on out, everybody. Whoo-wee. Cats and dogs. I'm going to do a lot of back and forth, hands and knees, back to the floor, stand up, back to the floor. So cats and dogs, you're going to arch your back and you're going to round your back. The position that I'm in right now is very easily duplicated sitting in a chair. My knees are bent, my hips are bent. This is me sitting in a chair. All I'm doing is rounding my back and arching my back and forth. You can rest your hands on your thighs if you're sitting in a chair and do this, sure. We're gonna go to a nice, easy move after this. We're gonna do knee drops. And that's laying on your back as well. Can you do them sitting in a chair? Yeah, it won't look as pretty, but you can get it done. Okay, come on out, everybody. Lay back on the floor. Knee drops. So your knees look like windshield wipers. I'd like you to stance your feet out a little wider than hip distance. The way I do that is I put my ankles and knees together and then I walk my feet out. Heel, toe, heel, toe. One more time. Heel, toe, heel, toe. That's the way I can do it by keeping my legs even and my feet parallel because I don't have anybody to check me and look. So if I walk my feet out from my knees and my ankles touching, it ends up pretty balanced and even. I am trying to initiate this knee drop move from my hips, but as you can see, my whole body is twisting. The only thing that's staying on the floor are my shoulders, my feet, and then each hip as I roll over to the one side and the other. One of my clients does this. She's extremely lazy. I have to stay on top of her with a whip and a brick. And I whip her and then I throw the brick at her. Because she just kind of lets gravity take her legs. And then she gets into singing her music and forgets that I'm standing there watching. So I want you to really think about effort. Put some effort into this. Don't get lazy. The goal is to hit the floor with both of your knees. It's not going to happen, but that's what you want to do. You want to reach towards the floor from the area of your butt, your hip, back and forth. Now, as you move, your feet are going to come from parallel and go out to this averted position. So I want you to double check, make sure your feet are still parallel. That's probably going to give you some cramping in your feet. And I say, good for you. There's the muscles that aren't working. So if you keep your feet parallel, it actually forces the arches of the feet to start to lift as you do this move. This is a nice break, believe it or not, because our next move, it's tough. You're going to hate it. I want you to bring your pillow nearby. We're going to do inner, outer thighs. Oh boy. I'm only going to give you 10 on each side a couple of times, maybe 3 times. Usually if you're doing this in a therapy session, you're getting 3 sets of 20. So this is like a Jane Fonda move. You can prop yourself up on your elbow like so, or like so. The closer you lay down to the ground, the easier this is going to feel. But the top leg, you want to keep your foot parallel to the floor. We're going to lift the leg. So we're taking abduction and then lower the leg back down. If you feel like you're going to fall over, bend your bottom knee. That'll create a wider base and you'll feel more stable. We're just going to do 10 lifts, but I'm actually watching down my leg to make sure I don't outwardly rotate from my hip. That's a no-no. Keep your toes down. We're doing true abduction from the hip. If you rotate, now we're turning into outward rotation. We want just an abduction. I'm keeping my block nearby because I'm going to do the inner thigh of the bottom leg next. And it gets kind of awkward if you try to put the top foot on the floor while you try to lift the bottom leg. If you can get it done, great. If not, and it's too awkward, you're just going to put the knee on top of your pillow and just rest it there. We're going to work into the bottom leg now. Same idea, folks. You got to keep the foot parallel to the floor while you lift. I'm also making sure there's no bend in my body. I'm not flexed in my hips and waist so I could see my toes. It should be pretty hard for you to see your toes because your body is in a straight line. So keep that in mind. Sorry, I'm doing the bottom leg now. Pardon me. Bottom leg. The other thing is when you're lifting with the bottom foot, there's a tendency to supinate the ankle. Supinate the ankle, meaning you're pulling your instep towards your crotch. So I want you to pay attention to that. Make sure you're not supinating. I'm going to go back to my top leg again. Hard work, right? Our legs are heavy. I'm watching some of you, and it might be from the camera angle, but I'm seeing some of your feet where your toes are pointed to the sky. That's telling me that as you get high, you're rotating through your hip. Don't do it. Look at your toes. Your foot should be parallel to the floor. Think of it like you're lifting from your heel rather than lifting with the toes. Bottom leg. I am keeping my ankle dorsiflexed when I do that bottom leg and top leg. I'm pulling my toes back towards me. So my thigh is tight. All of this now translates into the hip. We're going to do one more round each leg, and then we're going to switch. Told you we were going to do some challenging stuff today. I hope your body is heating up as we're bringing some of the big posture muscles into this game of Egoscue. Egoscue game. Top leg. Going back for 10. There is this tendency for your body to avoid all of this work and start to sit back like you're having a margarita. Don't do it. Margaritas later. Work now. You'll know when you're getting lazy with it because it'll kind of feel easy. I'm going to go back to my inner thigh, bottom leg. Again, I'm only doing these in sets of 10 because we got a lot of exercises to complete with Marianne's routine here. She's a toughie. She's a good toughie. I speak with a strong, deep voice. She speaks with a caring tone, but man, do her movements kick your butt. They really do. She's a nice lady. If you haven't found her on YouTube, I do suggest looking for her stuff. She's got great, great videos. I think she's got every one of the Egoscue moves in her own YouTube video. We're gonna switch to the other side now, everybody. Back in the day, there used to be 500 plus moves that you could pick from in the Egoscue ePete software. That's the software I use to give you guys your menus. So it's a little bit more than just hip crossover stretch, static back, upper spinal floor twist. There were 500 moves to pick from. Whew. Okay. Other side, look down your body, make sure your top leg is straight, even from the hip. So ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, all of your load-bearing joints are staying in the same line. This one's a little bit tough to get done sitting in a chair, I'll be honest. So you can definitely do it standing. You can do it standing and swing your leg around. Only modification I can come up with that's direct for this. Or you can lay on the floor and just split your legs open and closed. Bottom leg, here we go. Ooh, this one feels weird. This one does not feel easy at all. Wow. Okay, so thank you everybody for making me accountable, doing this move that I haven't done in a while. I'm realizing I need to do it. Thank you. Whew, good one. This is an excellent strengthener after you realign your hips. Helps a lot of people with knee problems. I'm going back to my top leg again. Looking under my armpit, making sure that I don't rotate out from my hip and that I don't start falling back towards the floor with my butt. You're going to like the next move after this. Usually when I hit you hard, we end up doing something nice and easy, especially if it's in the therapy sequence. If it's a workout sequence is probably hard, and you rest when you're dead. Bottom leg. Whew. Getting some work today. I'm going to go back to my top leg. This is going to be our last round. Last round, and we'll take a nice break with frog. We'll lay in that one for 2 minutes because I know everybody likes it, including me. Bottom leg, inner thigh. Ankle stay dorsiflexed. Think about pulling your pinky toe towards your body. That'll stop you from supinating with the ankle. You might realize, holy cow, I am supinating. I didn't even notice. So supinating is if I were to turn my hands to hold a bowl of soup. If you do that with your ankle, it's still the same term that we use, supinating. So you're rolling to the outside edge. You don't want to do that. All right, frog, everybody ready for it? Hit it, 2 minutes. You're going to lay on your back. If you know you have a very flat low back and you want to help it, remember that you need a curve. You can take your towel, roll it up. You don't want it any wider or any thicker than about 3 or 4 inches. This is only for those of you who know that you have a lower back that loves to head towards being flat. Only if you know that. If you've got an anterior tilt, this is not going to help you. If you have a lower back that's already got excessive curve in it, this is going to really hurt. So don't do it. This is only for those of you who've been with me long enough that know their posture, know that you've got a flattening lower back. Or if you've never tried it before and you're assuming you have a flat lower back, maybe somebody's told you or you think you might, you can give it a try. You can put a little rolled up towel underneath your lower back, check it out, no more than 3 to 4 inches. And this is a squishy piece of foam. You don't want to go hard right off the bat, but check it out. If you do this, and you put the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop out, and you realize, wow, this feels good. I like this move. Then that's your body saying, yeah, you need this move. But if it doesn't feel good while you're doing it or after you do it, it's probably a sign, no, it's not good for you. Frog is tough to get done if you're sitting in a chair, but it can be done. You'll have to put something else in front of you to prop your feet up on, and then you'll let your legs drop out while you're in the sitting position. It can be done. Going through good old Marianne's routine here. I have so many. Oh, she gives you a really, really nice, easy set for the next 4, 5, 6 moves, and then she hits you hard again. I love Marianne. Some of the routines that I've given you are no longer on the internet or have never been on the internet. I've gotten them from other therapists when I looked through their routines. You're not going to find some of them, like the Deep 6 routine that I stole from some of the other therapists I worked with in New York and Connecticut. But they're excellent sequences. And look back on the YouTube videos. You might find a sequence that works so well for you. Save it as a favorite or download it. My goodness, what if YouTube goes down and you don't have your Egoscue routine? Oh no. Hip crossover stretches next, folks. So we're staying laying on the floor. I took my roll out from underneath me, but I have used the roll and hip crossover before. I put my arms out to a T and go palms face down. This is called the hook lying position because my legs look like a hook and I'm laying down. You're going to cross your left ankle to your right knee and we're going to twist through the lower back. I'm going to turn to show you guys who might be new. When I do the crossover, I do not slide my foot across the floor. You must leave it in line with your hip. Don't let the foot slide. Even as you let the legs fall to the floor, do not slide your legs over to the left. You got to hold the form that you started with. We're only holding for 1 minute, everybody. But you must hold that same form. Do not let your legs slide across the floor. Now point your knee to the ceiling, friends, to the ceiling. Use your hip muscles to do that. So we're not letting your knee flop towards your body. There is an outward rotation from your left hip so that your knee will ultimately point to the ceiling. You can get this done sitting in a chair. All I'm doing is crossing my legs and twisting my upper body. It can certainly be done in a chair. When I was learning Egoscue, some of the test questions were, switch everybody. The test questions were, what is this move doing? What muscle groups are we addressing? What postures is this good for? I want you guys to answer those questions for me. I'm going to cross my right ankle to my left knee now, twisting through my lower back, and the legs fall to the left this time. So as you're doing this move, answer some of those questions. What postures is this move good for? What postural deficiencies does this move address? Think in layman's terms. How about somebody who's knock-kneed? Will this move help them? Somebody who's got a posterior pelvic tilt where their tailbone is tucked under and their butt cheeks are hard to turn on. Will this move help them? Somebody who has feet that love to turn out or turn in, will this move help them? So I'm kind of giving you the answers here so you could pull apart. What are we doing in this move? Oh, it feels so good. Come on out, everybody. We're going to do cats and dogs again. Come on up onto your hands and knees, or you can stay on the floor and do pelvic tilts. It's kind of the same move, just not with your shoulders. So we're just rocking the pelvis back and forth, taking it into anterior tilts and posterior tilts. But we're doing it while we're putting the hips under load and putting the shoulders under load. So if you have shoulder problems and your shoulders don't want to load right now, you can do pelvic tilts laying on the floor. Just rock your pelvis back and forth. That's all we're doing. I'm going to take it into arm leg opposite lifts. You can do this laying on the floor, flat on the floor if you wanted to, or you can stay on hands and knees with me. All I'm doing is reaching one arm forward and then reaching my opposite leg back. If this is bothering your wrists, maybe you don't want to do this move. Maybe you want to do this move on your fists instead of your wrists. And that'll take the flexion out of your wrists. You can do this standing. This is like a big skipping move. You could do cross crawl on the floor. We're not extending the leg, but instead we're bringing the leg in. But it's similar because we're using this transverse pattern. So that's an option. You can do this standing too. Just giving you options. This is an important move because you're training your hips to be stable. Inside, outside, left, right, lateral. Shouldn't be falling over when you're doing this move. You start falling over when you're doing this move, I'm going to ask you how many bottles of wine you've been dipping into, or I'm going to ask you what's going on with your stabilizing muscles. Maybe you're kneeling on a tack. Not sure. But this should not be too much of a challenging move. Yeah, your heart rate's going to go up because the big posture muscles we're using. But you should be balanced here. Gonna like the next move, everybody. We're gonna do upper spinal floor twist. Thank you, Marianne. This move might be taxing on some of your shoulders if you have pain. So if that's happening, I'm gonna show you a couple modifications. Again, if you're sitting down, you could sit in a chair and you can just twist your upper body in one direction for a minute. When we do this on the floor, be really clean, please. Again, we want to train the body to remember 90-degree angles. We are trying to affect its posture. So we have to stimulate it in these certain forms. We have to hold true to the form. So I'm bringing my knees in, 90 degrees hips, 90 degrees knees. Hand on top of my knees, glue them in place. Top arm is going to open like a book. See how I'm keeping this beautiful line? Wrist elbow, shoulder, shoulder. And I'm going to let gravity take it where it wants to go, but I'm holding my knees in place. I'm showing you my really ugly side. This is my busted side. So it doesn't hit the floor. I don't think it ever will ever again. But, you take what your body can give. If this is hurting your shoulder and it's not quite working out for you, you can rest your hand on your ribs. That'll take all the leverage off the shoulder, but you'll still be involved in getting the hips and the back to work. You can also rest your hand on a bunch of pillows or a bed or a nearby couch. Or you can skip this move, or you can do it in a seated position, like I just showed you, where you just twist your upper body in the seated position. Get creative. The goal here when we're doing Egoscue is to just stimulate the body in ways it doesn't get throughout the day or the week or the month or the decade. We are reminding it of what it is capable of doing. We're trying to get it to work as per its design. That is true function. Love it when these little baby kids with beards and tattoos and think they know everything about everything. Yeah, it's a functional exercise. Yeah, what does functional mean? I have not gotten the correct description and definition of function yet from these little kids. Smack them upside the head. They have no idea what they're talking about. Come on out, other side. What is function? How do you restore function? They got Function 45 fitness group. Goodness, man. When I went to interview for them a couple years ago, I had nothing but an argument. So I had a joke. And I'm not backing down either. If you run into people that cannot answer basic questions, walk away. Walk away. A big question a lot of us have a hard time asking, including my mother and father. They get this white coat syndrome. They don't like asking the question, why? I said, go ahead, confront your doctor. They send you home with this pill, that pill, that pill, that pill. Yeah, this will help your back. And he said, well, why? Oh, well, your back's breaking down. Well, why? If they can't answer that question, maybe you need to find somebody who will be able to, or will at least entertain your questions. It's very important to trust and build a rapport with these people who are giving you advice for your well-being. And I know I'm preaching to the choir with you guys, but it's important to do. We end up in this white lab coat kind of situation. And relax, come on out of it, everybody. We're going to go to pelvic tilts, 10 of them, maybe even 20 if you get lucky. So I'm coming in the hook line position. We're just going to rock the pelvis back and forth. Same thing as cats and dogs, except we're just using the pelvis. So back to that white lab coat syndrome. I don't know how many of you are in the gyms, but it happens in the gym too, which is why I often get into arguments with these young kids, these coaches, these trainers. And they're training people and they're getting them into situations where they're in pain or gonna be in pain or gonna hurt themselves, and they don't realize it because they're trying to make a buck and they think they're big, and yeah, they don't know squat. So pay attention and listen to your body. Very important, including with me. That's why I tell you, listen to your body. I don't know everything. Okay, friends, we are going to get into the tougher version, crunches, bridges, crunches again, and more bridges. So I want you to keep your block nearby, because when we do bridges, we're going to use this to put between our legs. I'm going to take you guys into crunches, but they're Egoscue style crunches. When we do those, it's not quite a crunch where you round your body up. That's not what we do with this style. We don't round. We want to try to adhere to keeping the upper body in extension. So if you can, when you're doing your crunches, we're going to interlace the hands behind the head and draw your elbows back and down. And this is going to keep them on the floor. Do less to do more, everybody. When you lift up off the floor, do not do more than 6 inches. In fact, I do like 2 to 4 inches. Don't lift up any more than that. That's going to keep you in that range of motion, which will keep it most effective. I'm going to start out doing the crunches without the block between my legs. Then we're going to add on leg work with the crunches afterwards, if you're ready to come with me. All right, everybody. Knees are bent, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to interlace my hands behind my head. I am not pulling on my head. Instead, I'm using my abdominals to lift the whole elbow, shoulder, head, and neck area off of the floor a little bit and then back down. Remember, we're staying in extension in the upper back. The way to keep your body in extension using your mind is using your drishti, which is perspective. You're looking behind you on the ceiling at maybe a 45-degree angle. Keep that spot in your eyes. If you lose it, you lost your form. I'm just going to do 10 of these and then we'll move on. So I'm staring at that spot. I lift, I lower, my elbows stay back. Lift, lower, 2 to 6 inches. That's it, friends. Can you do this on a chair? Yeah, but it's going to be super simple because gravity is only pulling one way. Maybe you want to lay on the bed and give it a shot if you can't get on the floor with me today. Keep drawing your elbows back and down. It's really important in this style of crunch. So what we're doing is teaching the abs to work almost in isolation while we're keeping the upper body extended. Nobody ever does this. In fact, I feel like doing 20, believe it or not, but I'm going to stop here because we're going to go back to it. Put the block in between your knees or your pillow in between your knees. Now we're going to go to bridges. I'm going to give you 20 of these and then we're going to go back to the ab crunches. I want you to keep your feet parallel and don't pull the yoga move that I see a lot of people doing. They love to put their heels really close to their butt. If you do that, it's going to shut off the whole posterior chain, meaning your butt, your hamstrings, all the muscles in the back that we're trying to get to extend you. So I want you to keep your feet, or let's say your knees, at a 90-degree angle, then place them on the floor. You want your feet to be pretty good distance away from you. Don't try to put your heels on your butt. Put your pillow in between your knees. We're going to bridge up. Use your butt, use your back, use your legs, lift it up and lower it back down. This looks really simple. But if you notice, you're feeling most of this in your thighs. Your feet are probably too close to your butt. So I want you to walk your feet a little bit further, maybe another inch away from you until you feel this in your hamstrings, in your glutes, in your back. We're putting the block or the pillow in between your knees because chances are that both of your legs are not working evenly. This is going to help recruit them with more balance. One of your knees might drop out to the side, one hip might drop a knee in. Just going to keep it more even. And we're going to do 200,000 of these. You're going to do them as long as I tell you to do them. That's how long you're going to do them. Take a break if you need to, everybody. This is not easy. Can you do this in a chair? I'm thinking about it. Yeah, you can, but you'd have to put your hands on the chair and kind of lift your butt off of the chair. This is a little bit tough to do an exact replica in a chair, but get it done. I'm sure you can feel a lot of work in your legs, maybe in your butt, in your back. We're going to add to this. Now we're going to go back into the front. I'm going to interlace my hands behind my head. If you're ready to come with me, we're going to lift the feet off of the floor using the area of our hips. So I'm lifting 2 to 6 inches, no higher, no higher. Same time, I'm going to do my crunch. So that's your choice. If you want to add that together, do it. If not, and it's too much, just leave the feet on the floor. Interlace your hands behind your head. Find the spot on the ceiling, folks. You got to keep looking at that. If you lose that, you lost your form. 10, 9, 8, elbows stay back and down. 7, these are called hip flexor abdominal crunches. 5, 4, keep your upper body in extension. I know it's tough. 3, 2, 1. That feels so good. I'm going to do another round. You guys can have a margarita if you want to. I'm going to do another round of 10 because I need that work and I know you do too. But it works just the same if you watch me do it, right? So you don't have to do the work. Just watch me do it. Same thing. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, are you going to love me next? I'm going to have you guys lay down on your back. Where's our static back block? Okay. I'm going to take a little static back. Put the block right in front of, chair right in front of you. I'm going to lay down in static back. I'm going to go for a couple minutes. Oh, beautiful. There we go. Good old static back. There we go. All right. Breathing. We are going to do static back abdominal contractions. What you're going to do is we're going to create a contraction when our lungs are empty. Give me a gentle cough, and I want you to feel the muscles that are contracting when you do the cough. You feel how it's almost like a corset. It's cinching your sides, your back, your abs. Same thing. It's like you're buckling down because somebody's going to punch you, right? So you're going to pretend, whoa, somebody's going to punch me. Huh. Same idea. So you breathe in, you breathe out. My lungs are empty. I'm going to squeeze, squeeze, release. Breathe in, breathe out, squeeze, release. That's it. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Continue. One more minute. If you don't have static back to do this, you can do this sitting in a chair. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be helpful if you can use static back while you do this. If you are attempting this in a chair, my advice is to walk your tailbone as far back into that nice square flat chair as you can so that the chair can hold you at 90-degree angles. Relax, we're going back into the crunches. I'm sorry, but I'm not that sorry. You're going to do the crunches now in the frog position. So you're going to take your legs out, outwardly rotate. You're going to press your feet together. It doesn't have to be hard, but I don't want them to slip or lose it. If you can lift your legs off of the floor as well while you do the crunch. If not, just hold your feet together every time you lift up your upper body. Find the spot on the ceiling behind you. Look at it. Keeps my upper body in extension. Here we go. 10, 9, 8. In a perfect world, your head, your neck, your shoulders, your elbows, everything stays in the same position that you put it on the floor. We're just bending from the mid back or from your waist. Everything should stay in the same position. So if you sense any flexing of your neck, if you're bending your neck or your chin's hitting towards your chin, you're starting to bend your neck, do less. Try less to do more. Don't effort so much. Even if you stay in contact with the floor, I'm done with my 10. Even if you stay in contact with the floor and just engage the muscles and don't lift, so you just get to the point of I'm almost lifting and then come back down, that'll work too. I'm going to do another set of 10. Feet stay together. Lift if you want to. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yay! Static extension position is next. If you cannot do hands and knees, you can definitely get this done against the wall. There is a way to do that. You can do a downward dog on the wall. That'll count. I'll take that one. You can even do a forearm stretch on the wall. Lean in, let your shoulders come back. Otherwise, I'm doing a 2-minute static extension position on the floor. Hands and knees, friends. Make sure everything is underneath and above each other. So my shoulders are right over my elbows and over my wrists. Knees are under my hips. You're gonna walk your palms forward 6 inches. Palm to fingertips. Shift forward, drop in, think like the sway back horse. So my shoulders come back and down. My back is like a sway back horse. Elbows stay straight. I need my book. Forgot my book. When I say book, I mean a nice, thick, hard book, because I've got a broken clavicle that my structure is off from my left to my right sides. I know this. So if my structure is off, when I do this move, it actually throws my whole back off. I'm missing 2 inches on my left clavicle. So when I do these types of moves, it actually creates a scoliotic curve in my back, which shouldn't be there. I'm trying to unwind that. So I prop up my right hand to help fix that. Not everybody has things like that going on. If you have structural damage, one of the ladies I met got hit by a car when she was younger, and she's missing an inch on one of her legs. So she has to have a heel lift in her shoe. Makes sense, right? Because if she didn't, it would throw off her gait, how she picks things up, and all the muscles now have to adapt. Stick with me for about 30 more seconds, everybody. Elbows stay straight. If you're having a hard time keeping your elbows straight, you notice, oh, come on, let's get straight. Maybe stance your hands wider from each other. That's a little bit of a Band-Aid that'll help you. Timer went off, but this move feels so darn good. I just want to stay in it. Can't stay in it forever. We're heading towards our last moves, everybody. We're going to do kneeling groin stretch. This is not an easy move for some of you. Some of you want it to be harder. So this is where screaming pigeon comes into play. If you want a screaming pigeon against the wall, you do it. I'm not even going to show it to you guys. Forget it. If you know it, you do it. Kneeling groin stretch. You're going to stay in the same alignment. Ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, everything stays in alignment. I'm going to step my right leg forward to where my right hand is. Everything stays in alignment. I look between my legs. I shouldn't see my ankle at all. Press yourself upright. From the side, it looks like this. I'm going to hold a minute each side. Step the leg forward. Press up. Screaming pigeon would be trapping your back leg against the wall with the knee bent. Some of you know it, some of you don't. It is a very intense move. If you want to do it, go for it. It's not called screaming pigeon because it's a walk in the park. I'll just say that. You should be feeling a nice stretch, the leg that's behind you, through the hip, maybe even through the thigh. Some stretching in your back, maybe some work in your arms because maybe your posture has you bent forward. So this is going to be some work in the front part of your body to pull into extension or to push into extension, and your back body to pull into extension. Switch. So my left foot stands where my left hand would be. Some of the routines I've given you in the past have been nice and easy. We're spending the time laying down on the floor, doing challenging work, but not stuff that was so intense that we start sweating or our heart rate goes up. Sometimes your heart rate's up for a good 20 minutes in some of these routines I'm giving you. It's important to be able to do all of these different type of moves and remind your body that, hey, you got to remember how to do this. If my car didn't remember how to run on all 6, 8, or 10 cylinders, whatever you've got, we got a problem. Oh, sorry, that tire doesn't know how to work today. That wheel doesn't know how to hold itself straight today. You're not going anywhere. Come on out, friends. I'm going to finish you off with some oldies and goodies. Arm circles. If you cannot do arm circles, you could do shoulder rolls. I know some of you have a hard time with that. Arm circles, we have to take a special position with our hands though. So you're going to take your hands together and then take them into fists, and then flatten your fists and stick your thumbs out. We're going to keep this position while we do the arm circles. This is going to change what goes on in your shoulders when you do it. If you're standing, you're going to stand and point your feet straight ahead. You're going to squeeze your shoulders back and bring the arms out to the sides. I am going to do this kneeling because I know it's best for me to do that. So I'm going to try arm circles kneeling. Same thing. Circle up and forward 40 times, but keep your belly relaxed. I do this kneeling because my pelvis has a tendency to start bailing forward, so I look like I have a sway back. I do this move to remind my hips that they belong under my shoulders. There's a second part to this move though, friends. You're not gonna like it. Again, if it hurts you, do shoulder rolls. Just roll your shoulders. Point your thumbs behind you, shoulders still squeeze back, circle up and back. Now, if this is bothering your shoulders, you can sit there, stand there, kneel there, and just roll your shoulders up and back. Get some good shoulder circles. 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Hey, I think we're done. I don't want to overstep anybody's time, and I know the library's got some other stuff to do, so I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll see you guys next week. If you have any questions, comments, leave them in the section. Oh, I see smiles. Yay, I didn't kill everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. See you next week.